And then if you want, you can talk and say, hey, this is not correct. You need this information. So you can change the discussion. Sentiment analysis is not just for digital marketers. Sentiment analysis is for boards of directors as well. Many boards in the UK and America are now asking to see the sentiment score for the month or for the quarter. So sentiment analysis should be in your plan. And also, not just the cost, but who monitors the sentiment and who reacts to the sentiment. Maybe you measure it once a week, once a month, but perhaps you have somebody else who's measuring visitors on your site, how many visitors you get, what the conversion rate is when they make an inquiry, or if they register for your newsletter, or they register to come to a webinar. Somebody has to be monitoring that every day. And if you see that suddenly one day, for one of your products, there's a lot of visitors, and perhaps your conversion rate is 1%, maybe 2%, very good, but say your conversion rate jumps to 10%. What do you do with this information? So your plan should include this bit of control to say, yes, we measure all these different KPIs, key performance indicators. We measure these, and we have a system that somebody will take action as a result of conversion rates being very high. Let me ask you a question. What would you do if you saw one of your products on your website, if you saw that the visitors, the number of unique visitors, had doubled the normal visitor rate, and the conversion rate on that page to, say, register for a webinar, instead of being 2 or 3%, was 25%. What would you do with that information? We don't collect information just for information's sake. So what would you do with this information? So the plan should actually have a plan in place to say, if we saw an upward blip with a fantastic number like that, what would happen next? So some of you would say, well, we go and promote it more. Maybe there's another plan, which would be we put that product on the home page where you've got many more millions of visitors coming through. So suddenly it will escalate. So to have that element of control, what do you do with the information? Who measures what? How much does it cost? All that needs to be in your plan. And the 3 M's. These are the 3 key resources that you need to have in your plan. That's men, money, and minutes. Men means men and women. Money means budgets. And minutes means time horizons. So the plan has to have those throughout the plan, the 3 M's. And that's SUSTAC. I should say goodbye and thank you for listening. But I'm going to go, I could stop now and just say that's it, because now you understand how SUSTAC works. I will now talk through each of these steps in a little bit more detail. And later on today, I'm going to give a gift of this SUSTAC book to the best question that we get during the panel discussion. So this will cover everything in detail that I'm talking about today. So that's SUSTAC. It is cyclical because it's easy to say the situation analysis, your analysis of where you are now, your performance, your strengths and weaknesses, your competitors, your customers, market trends, all of that helps you to decide sensible objectives from which we can build a strategy. And all of that, when we measure the control, is it working? That will feed into your next situation analysis. So you can see it's a cyclical nature. So this works if you've got a 12-month plan, 24-month, 36, or 3-month plan. It works. It works for digital marketing plans, it works for marketing plans, it works for your own personal life plans, as well as working, somebody told me the other day they use SUSTAC for a wedding plan, believe it or not. Okay, so let's have a look at each one of these. Situation analysis. We want to look at customers. The big question with customers is, David Meerman Scott was talking about who is your customer. There are 3 questions I would always demand that any team is able to answer in the situation analysis about the customers. And those 3 questions, which you must, absolutely must master, are the following. Number 1, who? Number 2, why? And number 3, how? Number 1, who is my customer? What is their profile? What is their segment? What is their target? Most companies, believe it or not, in the UK, do not know who their customer is. They've got the database, but they haven't got the profile information. And today we can get a really rich, deep profile information, particularly from your social media platforms, and particularly from what we call digital body language. Digital body language is your click behavior. We can capture behavior of people on your websites and determine who they are and also what they're interested in by duration, pages that they visited, pages that they repeatedly visited. Did they look at the video? Did they look at the product reviews, etc.? We can decide how interested they are, which brings us to the second question, which is why. This is the most difficult question. Why? Why do customers or middlemen, healthcare professionals, why do they buy your product or service? Why do they visit your website? Why do they recommend your product or service? Equally, why do they not visit your website? Or why do they only stay for 1 minute and then leave forever? Or why do they buy a competitor's service or product? So the why is a really difficult question because sometimes customers and middlemen don't know why themselves. Some of it's emotional, some of it's rational. So customers, we need to know everything you can about customers. If you can encourage your staff to have a customer obsession, this is great. If they're all asking questions about your customer, that's fantastic. You know Procter & Gamble? For many years, Procter & Gamble, every product manager has to stand up with their KPIs, key performance indicators, sales, market share, unique visitors, etc., etc. But they also have to present their learnings. What do they learn from the marketplace this year about the customers? So all managers are responsible for bringing new information all the time about the customers, because customers change. In fact, there is one model that's valid for all markets, and it looks like this. So let's hope these are your sales going on an upward curve. The total market is on top, and over time, the market will pull away from your product, and the market will keep pulling away, and if you do nothing to change, you will get left behind. That model is consistent across all marketplaces. So it's important to know about what's driving customers to change their behavior. Why are they behaving? In what particular way? What the trends are? The pest factors, political, economic, social, technological, those factors that change markets. So that we know that if you don't change, you get left behind. Therefore, your whole team has to keep be hungry for customer information about who, why, and the how. How do they buy or make a decision to recommend? What's that process? There's two things here with how. How do they make that decision? What is their journey digitally? Where do they go to end up making these decisions? Do they go to a social media platform, to a discussion forum, and back to your website? How did they find your website? Was it with search engine optimization, or was it with pay-per-click advertising? Or maybe affiliate marketing, or many other channels. And there is something called, it's wonderful this, multi-channel funnels analysis by Google. It's free. If you use multi-channel funnels analysis with Google, it will do this part of the how for you. Not only will it tell you where your customers are coming from, some of them will do search engine optimization, do a search, just do a Google generic search, and find your site and go there. Other customers will come in through pay-per-click and go to your site. But with multi-channel funnels analysis, it tells you what is the best journey for your best converters. So which of your visitors are converting more than others? And it looks at conversion points. So it tracks who are your best converters and tracks their journey. And you begin to see patterns that your best converters are just like a football team. You can identify who gave the pass. Not the goal scorer, not the last click, but the one before it. Is there a pattern? And this will inform you about how to get more customers, the right type of customers, to your site. You may discover that social media advertising, pay-per-click advertising, is better than SEO. I don't know. Or maybe an affiliate linked program is better to drive the traffic that really works. By the way, I do hope we see Egypt winning the African Cup of Nations again. We need to see Egypt back there again. They played some great football. But the idea is, it's not just the goal scorer. We're interested in who made the pass. Which of your channels is, the sequence of channels is the most successful for you? It's never just the last click, it's the journey. So that's the how. And the other part of the how is, how do they process information? How do they process information? You need to know this. So you make a great website, or you make a great app, you put it out into the marketplace, and some customers go, wow, this is great. And others look at it, they download it, but they never use it. How many apps have you got in your pocket that you never use? So in the how question, we're trying to find out, how do people process information? How do they look at my pay-per-click ad? How do they look at my website? Where are the hot spots? And we can track this. We can measure, where are the spots? Where do their eyes go on my web page? And we can record this and analyze it. And we'd say, ooh, look, nobody's looking. Generally, it's an F. It starts there, goes across, comes back, goes there, and that's a general. Whereas print, the eyeballs go like that in a Z movement. So the how is different online. So we need to know, how do people process your information? Maybe test the advertising. Split test. Home pages. Split test your home page. Have one in red, one in blue. Have one with a special report, the other with a different report. And let the traffic come in. The Google Analytics will do this for you. You can split test, A/B test, to find what is the best color, what is the best picture, what is the best proposition. And all the time trying to understand this how. Difficult, but it can be done. That's with customers. With competitors, I say to people, legally, it's possible to find any information you need, legally, if you have enough 3 M's, time, minutes being the big one. If you're clever about defining what information you need, you can find it if you've got the 3 resources legally. Just about anything, just about, 99%. Distributors, we need to know what the best distribution channels are for your business, and there may be new ones coming into the marketplace in the digital space. We need to know about influencers. We need to know who the key players are. Keep a separate database of your influencers, your journalists, your bloggers, your influencers, your Twitter followers. A nice tool to use here is, if you've got a Twitter following, there are many tools. I use one called Follower Wonk. That's W-O-N-K. Followerwonk.com. Put your Twitter handle in there, and it'll analyze your followers, and it'll tell you who are your biggest followers. Where are they coming from? I discovered President Obama is following me. Well, not President Obama, his team. But so I picked off just the followers that have over 1 million followers. They're my influencers. So I can now take care of them, send them information, keep in touch with them, nurture that relationship. Influencers are very important. Market trends. Markets are moving away. We need to know what the pest factors, political, economic, social, and technological factors are driving change. And performance. We're looking at the strengths and weaknesses. What are you good at? What are you not so good at? Can you improve on the weaker areas? Okay. So let's look at objectives for a minute. If we take the classics mission, vision, and the KPIs. Mission is your raison d'etre, the reason you exist. So in the pharma world, it is to make the world a better place, to help young people become free of headaches, to help people get rid of pain in their legs. That beautiful, social, responsible mission statement, why you exist. Vision is different. Vision is about where you want to be on the front page of the Financial Times in 5 years' time. What's that headline? Pfizer is #1 in this product area, et cetera, et cetera. And then KPIs, well, we know the KPIs, you know the KPIs. I tend to break them up, the KPIs, so that, the top level, return on investment, sales, market share, board level, C-suite, chief executive suite, chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, at the top level. Secondary objectives would be visitors, number of visits, conversion rates, and third level is objectives and analytics. And you can vary this. What's important is to separate the top ones. And what we do with the KPIs, we can actually turn them around, upside down, and turn them into, you've probably seen, exact same pyramid, but upside down. This is now what we call the funnel. I'm sure you're all using the funnel. Can I just see a show of hands? Who is using a funnel, which looks like that? Just a show of hands. Does anybody have a funnel to manage? Yeah, okay, some do, thank you. Some do. So we can measure every stage of this, from your visitors, total visitors. Some of them will become prospects or leads. Some will become qualified leads. And then eventually they'll become customers or recommenders, and that will convert into sales at some stage. So for example, if we know, and you should learn over time, the conversion rates for each step. Now this can vary, it's any numbers you want. Everything I'm saying, by the way, is in that book if you need to look at it. There's an online version, by the way, which allows you to click from the book page to a video or an example of a paper. So as long as you know your conversion rates, you can be in control in the long term, because you'll know exactly 1,600 visitors per month will generate eventually 120 customers per annum. So the numbers are there to play with. Equally, you can look at those numbers and you can have them down as KPIs in much more detail if you want. But what's interesting about this, it allows you to be in control. You set these objectives, you keep learning and improving your conversion rates, and you are in control. You can forecast 3 months, 6 months down the road what your revenue stream will be if you're managing this very carefully. So it's a nice way of laying out your objectives. And sometimes you can say, well, we need to improve the conversion rate on this or on that, etc. Okay, which brings us to the idea, excuse me, that objectives will become measurable. So we build that back into the plan. Who will measure these? Who does it? When? How often? What does it cost? And then that control is fed back into the next situation analysis. And all the time, you're getting closer to the market, you're more in control of the marketplace with a nice disciplined approach. Okay, so situation analysis, where are we now? Objectives, where are we going? Strategy, how do we get there? This is the most important part. If you get the strategy wrong, it's sad, because life becomes very, very difficult. All the tactics, all the channels, the multi-channels will not work as well as they should if you got the strategy wrong. So let's just open up and see, how do we get there? What should you consider for your strategy? Now I'm going to show you 9 components. You don't have to use all 9. Just, you need to think about all 9, and maybe you use 6, 7, 4, 3, but at least consider all of these 9. So as we move into strategy, let's have a look at the key components. I'm going to use a little acronym called TOP. The spelling is wrong. I've misspelled it, sorry, but it's easy to remember. Top site. Okay, top site. That may help you to remember the components for your digital marketing strategy. Top site. Okay. T is for target markets. Target markets, which means segmentation and targeting. Absolutely crucial to get this right. If you target the wrong customers, you're not going to make a sale. It can be heartbreaking. I'll give you an example. Last night, I was in London, and I didn't have my wallet or passport or air ticket to get here. But I had a Picasso. You know what a Picasso painting is? A Picasso painting, very valuable. And I walked the streets of London and I said, hey, I have my passport, but I've lost my ticket. I need to buy another flight, a flight to Cairo. And everybody's going, no. And some people were saying, call the police. This person is a bad person. So please, a Picasso, just for £400 to get me to Cairo, or £1,000 to get me to Cairo. Everybody said no. And eventually, late last night, I was beside an old coffee shop with some really strange people. I'm saying, I'm tired, please, give me just 1 cup of coffee for this Picasso. This Picasso painting is really valuable. Please, just a cup of coffee. I'm cold, I'm hungry, and I'm tired. And the guy kind of looks at me and goes, nah. I said, just for £2, a cup of coffee, a Picasso, please. You go, okay. So he was doing me a favor, taking a Picasso painting worth millions for £2. I thanked him. What if instead I actually flew off to the art houses of Europe? And when I land, there's a limo waiting for me. The president of the art house says, Paul Smith, P.R. Smith, welcome, come in. Would you like some breakfast? I believe you have a Picasso painting. Yes. Let me see it. I'll show it. Would 50 million euros be acceptable? I go, well, 70 is a much nicer number. 70 million, 7 is a good number. 70 million is nice. He says, well, 65 million, is that acceptable? I go, yeah, okay. And we shake hands. He gives me 65 million, as opposed to £2 the day before. What's happened? Well, instead of rushing around chasing this difficult and wrong customer, I've targeted just one really good one. And the profit leverage is absolutely massive. So if we target the right people as opposed to any people, the impact is huge, absolutely huge. But many marketers are marketing with a blindfold. They don't know who their ideal customer is. Not their average customer, their ideal customer. And if you don't know the ideal, you'll never find lots more of them. So time spent analyzing the target market is important, and your strategy should highlight who are these ideal customers that you're going to go after. You can make reference to your objectives and then into positioning. Positioning. How do you want to be positioned? How do you want to be seen or perceived by your target market? Now you have to spell this out on 2 axes and no more. Where are you going to fit into the marketplace? Do you remember Lucozade was a medical product many years ago? My mother was a chemist in Dublin, in Ireland, where I'm from. And Lucozade, you know the drink Lucozade? Lucozade, yeah. It used to be sold in chemist shops, only chemist shops. Big bottles wrapped in cellophane, yellow cellophane, in my mother's chemist shop. But the market had moved away. In the 1960s, there was a baby boom in the UK. So in 1960, there was a disproportionately large amount of 1-year-olds. And by 1970, there was a very large number of 11-year-olds. And by 1980, there was a very large number of 21-year-olds. And so it went. And the baby market, or the sick child market, was very small. So they look at the market moving and they decided, we'll leave the sick child and we'll reposition from child to adult and sick to healthy. There's the axes. Child, adult, sick, healthy. And they move from there to there. That's positioning. It's difficult. It's an important piece of work. If you're interested in positioning, there's a great book written about positioning, The Battle for Your Mind, by 2 guys called Rise and Trout. Rise is R-H-I-E-S, Rise, and Trout, as in fish, T-R-O-U-T. Rise and Trout, The Battle for Your Mind, positioning, the battle for your mind. So positioning requires a lot of work. You don't want to change it every year, but it's a big part of strategy. So segmentation, targeting and positioning are critical. Next up comes partnerships. Partnerships. What kind of partners should you be working with? Which ones will deliver more results for you? Do some partners give you access to the communities that you need to be working in? How can this be, if you spend time strategically thinking about strategic partners, strategic alliances, marketing marriages, sometimes you find partners that can take you right in to your end customers or influencers that you want to get to in a way that you couldn't do yourself. So again, worth thinking very hard, are there really good partners that you could partner with and have access to their customer base? Now, like partnerships need detailed planning to make sure the partnership lasts. Process. Is there, in your strategy, should you be thinking about new processes? For example, marketing automation. Marketing automation is going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Marketing was never automated. We're one of the last areas not to be automated. I was brought into another bank a few years ago in London. I was sitting in the boardroom, getting the brief from the marketing manager, and I said, Lucy, just tell me what you want me to do with your board during this lunchtime meeting. And she said, Paul, I want you to get my board of directors to stop calling the marketing department the colouring department. Colouring, as in colouring nice pictures and painting. That's how they saw marketing. A lot of people see marketing as kind of colouring, colourful ads, that's it. But actually, part of marketing is marketing automation, which is very serious. So I work with a top company in Europe in this field. They're called, the name will come to me 1 second. They are some ex-IBM guys, and they actually work with digital body language. So they analyze customers, and according to what they're interested or not interested in, it generates an auto-response. An auto-response could be an email, or it could be a second email. We've noticed you're from the health sector. Would you like to see our health report. We notice that you're particularly interested in diabetes, so would you like to see the diabetes report? All automated, sets of rules, automated responses that are relevant and helpful to the target customer. So marketing automation is about looking at digital body language, analyzing it, setting rules, and automating it, but automating it personally and in a relevant way that helps customers. So very crude stuff could be if somebody spent 3 visits, looked at the product video, read all the reviews, looked at the comparisons, came back, looked at it a second time, their digital body language is saying they're very interested. That could automatically trigger information to a salesperson to go and talk to them. There's plenty of marketing automation systems that work like that. The company I work with is called Clever Touch. That's clever-touch.com. They're very simple, and there's lots of companies that do it here in Egypt as well. But that would be a process worthy of mentioning in your digital marketing strategy. If you were deciding to move into marketing automation, that would be a significant shift. It's not for the short term, and it requires a fair bit of planning. Equally, you could create another system or process, such as social CRM. So that mixes social media and CRM, customer relationship management systems. Brings them together. For example, I was an interim marketing director for UCAS. UCAS is the University and Colleges Admission Services. I had 40 marketers, and the CRM had 60 CRM people. And I said to the CRM director, give me 4 of your staff for 6 weeks, and by week 4, I will double your satisfaction scores, and I will cut your costs in half. Here's what we did. It's a different process. It's a different way of looking at social media. So each day at 5 o'clock, I would bring the team together. We would try to forecast the next day's 10 biggest issues online, on Facebook and on Twitter. What are the 10 biggest issues? And we'd look at the overall trends, we'd look at the cycles, and we'd look at the behavior on the website, because we could capture questions on the website and categorize them. So each day we knew what 8 of the 10 would be, and we discussed the extra 2. And then the brief was, in 100 characters, for a tweet and for Facebook, always less is more, in 100 characters, make a simple answer for each of these 10. Also, I commissioned the team to get trained to make videos, 1-minute videos for each problem that people had. So we had a bank of videos on YouTube, so 100 characters plus the URL for that video, and we call them canned messages, waiting. So the next day, people go into their desk, they open up Hootsuite or whatever dashboard they use to look at Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms, and they say, oh, look, there's somebody complaining about issue number 3. Cut and paste, drop it in, and I always encourage them to say, hi, John, best wishes, Paul. Normally you don't do that, but I said, if you want to do that, do it. If you want to be really friendly, that's okay, do it. But they see problem number 1, cut and paste, from hi, goodbye, done. 10 seconds, 20 seconds maybe, 30 seconds is slow, as opposed to 6 minutes on the telephone. So they could see the shift. And what happened? People responded going, thank you, you. I love you, UCAS. All these messages started to come. So we were watching this happen. Satisfaction scores going through the roof, dealing with customers really quickly and efficiently and friendly, and the costs were about 30 seconds versus 6 minutes is 1/12 the cost. And so when I left there, the last thing I said was, apply for an award for social CRM. And they did, and they beat the big telecom companies because they could produce the numbers. And that's a kind of a process. So that would be a significant part of if you're doing that, that would be perhaps worthy or worth mentioning in your strategy. Sequence is particularly interesting. Is there a sequence you should be thinking about? Remember these words. This is possibly the most important thing I will say today. And it was said to me many years ago, and I put it into every plan. It is this: develop credibility before raising visibility. Develop credibility before raising visibility. If you do that the wrong way around, that sequence, if you get it wrong, people will hate you. You'll become foolish in the marketplace. Or maybe, if you analyze your customers, you may find that, nobody's really aware of this new product. Well, then you need to create awareness for 6 months or 12 months, and then start converting awareness to preference, and preference to conversions to recommendations or purchases. So there's usually a sequence. Maybe all the market is aware, all the market likes you, a lot of the market is buying or recommending your stuff. Great. So what would you do with that sequence? Well, then I personally would think very hard about customer retention and really working hard with customer retention rather than customer acquisition. Sequence. So there are different sequences. Integration. This is a big one. I would say this is the biggest challenge for marketers, digital marketers in particular. How do you integrate everything online, whether they're on your website or at a webinar, reading an email, in a discussion group, looking at a pay-per-click ad, or a piece of viral marketing, or whatever the channel is, and offline as well? How are you consistent? How can you deliver a consistent experience? We call this the UX, user experience, or CX, customer experience. Big challenge. How do you integrate so that you have a consistent customer experience? They feel the same about your brand. They understand the benefits every time. They're reminded of the important things and the features and benefits wherever they go. Never too much, just the right amount. That's very important. That involves data, integrating databases, legacy databases, and your social media databases, the digital body language database, the customer services database, all that information coming into one place. Now, with companies like CleverTouch, they can look at visitors. If they've captured their email address, they can track them down on LinkedIn, they'll track them down on social media platforms, they'll then go across and cross-reference with 9 available directories, like Dun & Bradstreet, to check the information about the size of the company and the position in the company, and they will collect incredibly powerful information for salespeople. Equally, if there's a conference like today, CleverTouch have a subsidiary called CrowdVu, and they would look at anybody hashtagging DigiPharma. And if it was hashtag DigiPharma, they'll just do a search for hashtag DigiPharma. So anybody talking about it, they will scoop up your name and automatically go back to your URL homepage and see if there's any other links to your company. And from that, they go back to the company, they get the company information. From that, they'll try and find you with a 70, 80, 90% confidence of finding more information and build a picture around you, because they can integrate the data. It's a big challenge. That one's not easy. It costs some money, but integrated data and the single UX should be a part of your digital marketing strategy. It's a challenge, and you may say in year 1, we'll do it manually. By year 3, we'll do it automatically integrating. It's a plan for the future. And tactical tools or channels. What we want to know there is, what are the main tools or channels? Will it be webinars? Will it be pay-per-click? Will it be search engine optimization? Will you be publishing an amazing content strategy? Et cetera, et cetera. So I want to know in just a few words, what are the main channels or tactical tools for you? And then engagement. Engagement is particularly interesting because I've created a thing called the ladder of engagement, where you engage all your customers and visitors at least a low level. So please give me a rating, 5-star, 1 to 5 stars for the website or for the experience you've had. Perhaps you might give me a review. Perhaps you might join a discussion. And then as you go up, perhaps you might suggest how we could improve this product, how we could improve the company. And if you want to download a free chapter on that, if you go to my Facebook page, which is PR Smith Marketing, if you go to PR Smith Marketing, hit the welcome button, there's a full chapter explaining how the ladder of engagement works for blue chips and for a one-man band. I'm a one-man band. In my other world, 9 to 5, I work with digital marketing and so on, writing books, doing talks and advising companies. But 5 to 9, I live in a different world. I've got a not-for-profit program called the Great Sportsmanship Program, and it influences young people and it inspires young people with true 2-minute stories about sportsmanship. But it's just me and 100 ambassadors that have joined voluntarily to change the world, to help people believe in the world we live in, and to do more sport and read more and feel good about the world. So I've applied the ladder of engagement for the blue chips or for a single person business. It works for both. So that chapter will explain it to you if you want to go to PR Smith Marketing on Facebook. Hit the welcome button and there's a full chapter there. And that's engagement. Okay, so strategy. Get the strategy wrong, and no matter how hard you're working with your tactics and your channels, actually if you've got the positioning wrong or the targeting wrong or the integration doesn't work, all that hard work starts to fall apart. Kenichi Ome from Japan, McKinsey, ex-McKinsey's president, once said to me, there's no point rowing harder if you're rowing in the wrong direction. That's why strategy is so important. It is the shortest and smallest part of your plan. It could be a